The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Typhoon Kiko is about to make landfall in the vicinity of Batan and Sabtang Islands in Batanes. Kiko was last located at 8 in the morning over the coastal waters of Sabtang, Batanes, packing winds of 215 kilometers per hour and gustiness of 265 kilometers per hour. The typhoon is expected to bring heavy to intense with at times torrential rains over Babuyan Islands and Batanes. The typhoon is moving north-northwestward at 15 kilometers per hour, and it is expected to exit the Philippine area of responsibility by tomorrow evening or Monday early morning. It is also seen to maintain its strength while traversing the Babuyan Batanes area in the next 12 hours and a weekend later today or tomorrow. Typhoon Kiko may have spared mainland Cagayan from landfall, but the typhoon's strong winds are still affecting the province. To tell us more, we have with us this morning Cagayan Governor Manny Mamba. Gov Manny, magandang umaga po.
Ay, magandang umaga rin, Risa, at magandang umaga rin po sa lahat na nakikinig sa ating programa.
Governor Manny, would like to check kung kamusta po kayo dyan. How has the typhoon affected the province?
Well, thank God, no? God is really good, no? Kahit paano, it never had any landfall dito on any part of the province, no? We had some not really strong winds, no? In the island or along the northeastern towns of Cagayan. Strong winds only hit part of Calayan. And we have preemptively evacuated about 870 families who are now going back to their homes. And we don't have any reported missing person, no reported casualty, and maybe very, very minimum damage on crops if there is any damage at all.
Gov, you mentioned that evacuation took place. Would like to know what aid the government provided for those evacuees, and are there still going to be aid for those that have returned to their homes?
Not really, no. We're running out of that kind of assistance at this point in time. We just fed them. We have food assistance for them. They had breakfast this morning, and we're expecting all of them to be hitting home already. About half of that, no? We have about 2,700 individuals. About half of that were taken in by their neighbors. Now we have the Adapt a Neighbor program here every time we have this kind of disaster. Kaya kahit paano naman, no? In spite the fact that there is COVID scare here, some of the neighbors even tried to get into their neighbors for the Adapt a Neighbor program that we have every time we have a disaster.
Governor Manny, again, for bulletins regarding, of course, evacuation efforts, should there be any, where can your constituents find them?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Just in case, Gov, that evacuation would still be needed, where can they get information?
Well, almost every town and every barangay have their evacuation centers. No, usually it's the schools, no, and every barangay in the province now also set up their own isolation center, isolation unit for COVID asymptomatic patients. And these evacuation centers are usually in the barangay itself, no? Kung saan pinakamalapit talaga na pwedeng mapuntahan, katulad ng eskwela, katulad ng gymnasium, no? And sometimes even barangay halls are used, no? And some of these facilities too were used as isolation center in every barangay because we encourage every barangay to have their own isolation centers for asymptomatic cases. No, that is the reason why we also downloaded funds for them from the provincial government. And that
Thank
is
you.
why,
Hmm.
yeah,
Go
it was
ahead.
quite, yes, please.
No,
Hello?
go ahead, Governor.
Yeah. That is why it was quite easy for us, no, to evacuate people because we have predestined, destined isolation and predestined evacuation center in practically all barangays too. So if you want to find one, it's usually in the barangay.
Well, thank you, Governor, for sharing with us those information and stay safe. That's Governor Manny Mamba of Cagayan. Meanwhile, the southwest monsoon is also causing rains over several other areas in Luzon. As of 8 in the morning, Pag-asa has raised the yellow warning over Zambales. Yellow warning means that flooding is possible in low-lying areas. Meanwhile, light to moderate rains are affecting Metro Manila, Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, Cavite, and Batangas due to the habagat. President Duterte once again insisted that there was no corruption in the government's procurement of face masks and PPEs. In his recorded talk to the people aired earlier today, Duterte stressed that the Commission on Audit has already clarified that they have flagged the inventory count and not the pricing of the PPEs and masks. He also reiterated that he is ready to resign if it is proven that there is corruption in the procurement of these medical supplies.
I made this guarantee that these transactions are legal, that there is no wrongdoing, there is no crime involved here, that I am willing to resign kung may corruption. Yan ang binigay ko and I will do it at kung may makita sila. The findings of the auditing that handles PSDB really pertain more to the inventory management and not overpricing.
Mayor Sara Duterte announced that she and her father have agreed that only one of them will run for a national position in the 2022 polls. But is this move just another ploy from the Dutertes? An expert weighs in on the matter by a report by mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro.
They say that politics is a game of addition, but the first week of the party's convention for the 2022 elections was highlighted by a subtraction. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, touted as one of the leading contenders in next year's presidential elections, says she is not going to run for any national post.
Mayor Sara and the President made an agreement that only one Duterte will run in 2022. And Mayor Sara, being true to her words, the President has decided to run.
In an interview with One News, the Chiefs, Flasco said Sara Duterte will just seek another term as Davao City Mayor. But the announcement raised several questions, especially since then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte also claimed he was not running for president in 2016.
Hindi ko alam kung tatawagin nating perya o karnabal o soap opera, pero minsan nababasa mo na rin yung mga laro eh.
Flasco refused to say if the younger Duterte's decision is final or if it could still change if President Duterte withdraws from his vice presidential bid.
Well, that's a hypothetical situation. And I think that it's more important to focus right now on the actual facts on the ground, which is that the President has declared he is running.
But in an interview with 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang, DLSU political science professor Antonio Contreras said there may be another reason why the two Dutertes are avoiding running as president and vice president. It would leave out their political ally, Bongbong Marcos.
So, ang bold prediction ko dito, sa tingin ko baka si Bongbong ang tumakbong pagka-presidente at baka si Sara o si Digong ang vice.
But it's still too early in the election season. Parties still have 1 month to hold their political conventions before the filing of candidacy in October. And even then, parties can still substitute candidates until November 15. This means that politics will still be a game of smokes and mirrors until then. I'm Jacob Lazaro and we are One News.
U.S. President Joe Biden honors the victims of 9/11 ahead of the 20th anniversary. White House released a video of President Biden giving a speech to commemorate the victims of the September 11 attacks. Biden honored all those who risked their lives during the attacks, as well as those who gave their all to rescue, recover, and rebuild. Biden said that the biggest lesson for Americans to take away from September 11 was the unity in their greatest strength. Nearly 3,000 people were killed from the 9/11 attacks after hijackers seized control of airplanes and used them to attack the World Trade Center's Twin Towers and a Pentagon just outside Washington.
We honor all those who risked and gave their lives in the minutes, hours, months, and years afterwards. But it's so hard, whether it's the first year or the 20th. No matter how much time has passed, these commemorations bring everything painfully back, as if you just got the news a few seconds ago. And so on this day, Jill and I hold you close in our hearts and send you our love. There are people around the world that you'll never know who are suffering through their own losses, who see you, your courage. Your courage gives them courage that they too can get up and keep going. We hope that 20 years later, the memory of your beloved brings a smile to your lips, even while still bringing a tear to your eye.
Around 5,300 izakayas or bar rebel against Japanese curfew rules as the pandemic whittled the finances in 2 years. Let's watch this report by Bloomberg Quick Take.
結局自分の身は自分で守るしかないな、国に頼れないなっていう思いです。売上としては平均的に言うと、12、3万と。どうも。一応やっている事情をご説明して、その上でご理解いただけるかどうかっていうのは伺ってみたいと思いますが、ただ行政の方が来たからですぐに閉めるっていうことはしないです。1年半経っても全然行政の対応が変わらないというか、同じことの繰り返しをしている中で協力金の支給が遅いので、結局自分の身は自分で守るしかないな、国に頼れないなっていう思いです。
Those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on a Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.
Structure na akala nila natenga pero hindi. Madalit sabi, Ginoong Pangulo, lahat po na inilabas nila, tinubo ng kaagad karakarakan ng lahat ng mga membro ng kabinete at sila po yung nagpapasalamat. At kaugnay naman po doon sa inyong pagtanggap bilang kandidato vice presidente, sila po ay pinapaabot ngayon na nalulugod sila. At kayo daw po ay susundan nila kahit na sino ang sabihin nyo, i-endorse niyo kung sino magiging Pangulo, sapagkat naniniwala po sila na para sa kanila, kailangan ipagpatuloy ang mga sinimulan yung programa. Maliban pa po doon, ibig ko lang pong idagdag na yung pong posisyon ninyo sa kaso ng COA with respect sa Red Cross, kayo po'y you're definitely on the right track sapagkat